I'm Harrison Graham. It is Chicago Bears Now. Bring It Home kicks off this mailbag. He says, if the Bears don't get a pass rusher early in the NFL draft, could they trade for Bryce Huff from the Eagles? So there's been some chatter that the Eagles could look to flip Huff. It just is a classic free agency signing from last year that just didn't fit, right? Doesn't mean he's a bad player, but hasn't worked out, at least through one season in Philly for whatever reason. Kind of similar to Jonah Jackson and the Rams. Sometimes it's just a bad fit. Get him back in a situation with a coach he's familiar with, could get back on track. I think the same could happen with Bryce Young. He had a really good year a couple years ago. Bryce Huff, excuse me, not Bryce Young. And maybe he would get back on track in his career. Now, the money situation is the interesting one. So if the Bears, or insert team, traded for Bryce Huff, that team would owe him $16.75 million in cash. Not cap, cash. But the cap, it's only $4.29 million. So this basically would come down to ownership, right? Because most owners each offseason tell their front office, say, hey, we have X dollars to spend this offseason. $200 million, $130 million, $300 million. Like Jeffrey Lurie with the Eagles. Spend as much as you want, Howie. Manipulate the cap how you need to. So the cap hit wouldn't be that big of a deal, right? That'd be a worthwhile flyer. But do the Bears want to spend almost $17 million on a guy coming off a bad year in cash flow for one season? That's a fair question to ask. Now, in terms of if I was running things and got the green light from ownership, I'd offer one of my sevenths. I don't think I'd offer my fifth-round pick. If I would, I'd probably want a sixth back. I'd want to do a swap. If the Bears had a sixth, I would do that, but they traded that for Jonah Jackson. So Bears have two sevenths. I would offer a seventh just to see if the Eagles would bite. They probably would, just to get off of the player. You look at his last few years. With the Jets, he was pretty productive, especially a couple of years ago. He had 10 sacks, I think 60 pressures. 2022, the sacks weren't super high, but he was just a rotation player, but his pass rush win rate was really high. So in New York, he was a pretty solid player. I think the issue became the Eagles signed him to be not a star, but a starter, right? And he just did not fit in that Vic Fangio defense for whatever reason. Josh Sweat was better. Jalix Hunt ended up being better. He was a healthy scratch for the Super Bowl. So again, it just did not work out. Now, the Bears could clearly use another edge rusher. And the reason I say I'd offer a seventh is, what if you go through the draft and just for whatever reason you didn't end up adding an edge, or at least early on, right? You didn't add an edge. Could you late in the draft call Philly, be like, hey, we'll throw you a seventh. Howie, you want an extra pick? Here you go. And just see if you get him. If you don't, no harm, no foul. But for a seventh-round pick and for that cap hit, if I got the green light for ownership, I'd do it. I think at worst, he could fit into your rotation. He's better than Daniel Hardy as an NFL pass rusher. So, again, if it's only a seventh and you didn't draft an edge on day one or day two, I'd be open to it. Otherwise, I don't think this is a player the Bears would consider. Would you trade a seventh-round pick for Bryce Huff? Type Y for yes or type in for no. Again, I'm open to it, depending on how the draft plays out. But last year, for whatever reason, did not work out. All right, super chat from Dennis. Appreciate the deuce. He says, trade down for Hampton. You get JT Tuimoloau out. Ariante Ursary. Who's Taylor here? I'm not sure who Taylor is. And then Makuba. Want to help me out, chat? Who is Taylor? Last name Taylor in this draft. I like the rest of that haul in general. Mason Taylor, the tight end. Okay, I like that. Omarion Hampton in a trade down. Yeah, I like that scenario. Even a chance they would take him at 10, depending on how the draft falls. JTT, I would love him. I'd love him more mid-late second round than 39-41, but I'd be okay with it there. Same with Ursary. Taylor, probably more late second, early third. And then Makuba, we've talked about him. Love him in the third round. If he's there at 72, Cullen Draft Crush, sign us up for that. Mike Nintendo Master, if Josh Simmons or Nick Scorton fell to 39, who would you take? Simmons. Now, depending on who you take at 10, if you take Will Campbell at 10, then I would not double down there. But if you don't take an O-line, I would take Simmons over Scorton. Because Simmons was viewed by a lot of people before the injury the best pure left tackle in this draft. So if you got him at 39, there's been whispers of does he love football? Does he practice hard enough? And listen, all that stuff absolutely matters. But you get to a certain point where it's like, okay, top 15-ish player, you get him at 39, like, I'll take a swing here. So I like that for Simmons. I think just in general, 39, that's probably like where the value is for Scorton. So it'd be good value. But for Simmons, it's kind of great value because if he hits, you could have a franchise left tackle. All right, today's show is sponsored by our friends over at PrizePicks. Baseball season is rolling along as the Diamond is back in full force. Basketball nearing the end of the season. This is the perfect time to get going with PrizePicks because you got a bunch of sports going at once. Baseball, basketball, hockey, soccer across the pond, and a whole lot more. Set your lineups today. Daily fantasy sports, 2 or more players in your lineups. And you could have different players from different sports in your lineups. You could have a soccer player. You could have a hockey player. You could have a baseball player all in the same lineup. You could have players from one sport in your lineup. Whatever your cup of tea is, get going with PrizePicks today and take advantage of our deal at prizepicks.com/CLNS. When you use the code CLNS, you get a $50 bonus when you set a lineup in play for just $5. Season-long football, more or less, stats already available with PrizePicks as well. I think the Caleb Williams, more or less, passing yards is a steal right now. Less than 3,500 passing yards. He eclipsed that last year, and the offense sucked. Like, give me the more on that all day. James Cook, I think he's rushing for 1,000 plus. Now, we'll see what the contract drama happens with Buffalo, but I love the more there as well. $10 entry to win 30. You can win up to 1,000 times your entry in certain lineups with PrizePicks. Take advantage today. Link is in the comments and in the description. Use code CLNS at prizepicks.com/CLNS to get that $50 bonus when you play for just $5. Let's go. DC Viper, who is your favorite player in the draft, and how many trades could we see the Bears make in the draft this year? If I'm just talking like favorite player, like who do I enjoy watching the most, all that stuff, probably Travis Hunter. Like the Bears aren't going to get him. They probably don't, like from a need standpoint, like both receiver and corner are further down the list, but like the guy's just fun, man. He wants to play both ways in the NFL. Like, and I think if anyone could, he could do it. Just a fun player. I think he could be an all-pro punt returner. Now, you're not going to do that because he's already going to play snaps on both sides. Again, he's not going to be a Bear, but just favorite player in the draft, I'd say Travis Hunter. And then how many trades could the Bears make? I don't know. I'd set the over-under at 1.5. Like, you never know how it's going to play out. I mean, Howie Roseman traded Cullen 8 times in the draft last year, it felt like. Poles, his first year, traded on day 3 like 5 times. So it really just depends. I'd set the more or less at 1.5 trades, but see how it plays out. Sean Oldham, how do you feel about the tight end from Bowling Green, Harold Fannin Jr.? He's a fun player. It didn't test that well, so I kind of get a little eerie of like small school domination, but didn't test that well. Like Mike Green, for example, from Marshall, like, small school. The testing was off the charts. He dominated the Senior Bowl. Against Ohio State, he had a sack. Against Virginia Tech, he had 2 sacks and 8 pressures. So, like, against big-time competition, we've seen him deliver. Harold Fannin Jr., I think he can be a good pro, but I don't think he's dominating in the NFL. I think he's like a number 2 tight end for a team. So, like, where does that player go? 3rd, 4th round? I don't know if he can block in the NFL, especially right away. So, I think he's a tough projection. Good route runner, soft hands. Like late day 2, early day 3 is probably where I'd take him. Like tight ends I like better. Tyler Warren, Colson Loveland, Mason Taylor. He enters the conversation after that. I'd probably take Tyler Ferguson. I think like him or Gunnar Helm. Who would you rather have? I could go either way on that. Neither are tremendous athletes, but both have really good hands, run good routes. I'd probably take Elijah Arroyo over him as well. So, like, he's tight end 5, tight end 6. Okay. 3rd, 4th round. That's probably where I'd take him. All right, subscribe to Bears Now. We keep inching closer to 120,000 subs. We just got to get there before the draft. 245 away. Can we make it happen? Share the link with your friends. Say, hey, we're reaching a new milestone on Bears Now. It's a fun Bears community on YouTube. Appreciate the support. Daily content, live multiple times per week. We're going to be live for all 7 rounds of the draft. Come join us. Augustine, how much do we think Benny J runs 12 personnel if you got Tyler Warren? 50 to 60% of his plays. That's probably a little rich. I think they were 3rd in the NFL last year, and I think it was was it 36%? I have to go back and look at the number. We did a show on it. I would guess between 33, I'll give a wide range, 30 to 45%. It would be a significant number. 50 to 60, I mean, that's a lot. I don't know if they're running it that much, but I could see them doing 40%. It'll be very high in the NFL. They'll be amongst the highest 12 personnel utilization teams in the league this year. Lacora, you know the phrase, Bears in best case scenario, trade up before Vegas for Genty with Jacksonville. My good friend Lacora, I got you. You know the phrase. And sacrifice 39 and draft Xavier Watts at 41. So you're saying trade 10 and 39 to go get Genty at 5, for example, and then take Xavier Watts at 41. I don't mind that. The only thing I don't love is then you're going the first 2 rounds without a single trenches player. I don't love that. I still think you need to beef up there. But if the right player was there at 72 to do that, I'd be okay with it. But I'm back and forth on if I actually want to trade up for Genty. Love the player, but you're sacrificing if you do that. So, if they do that, they must think he's a high-end blue-chip difference maker, and they must feel good about the rest of the roster. All right, what's the Bears' biggest need? Perfect time for this question. Entering the draft. Is it running back? Is it a left tackle? Is it a pass rusher? Off the edge, is it a defensive tackle? Safety, linebacker? Let us know. Biggest need for the Bears. Benjamin Sandman, FGB. Get him going in the chat. Appreciate the 2. T's and P's to all dealings with flooding. Yeah, Benjamin, appreciate you mentioning that. By the way, I was at a wedding near my hometown in Abilene, Texas this weekend, and a couple hours away from there, it was snowing in April. It's not Chicago and Abilene, Texas, so it's kind of crazy. But yeah, I appreciate you mentioning that. Osmotic, what are we going to do at linebacker? It's a good question. I kind of feel like they're going to wait and see how the draft plays out. If they get a guy that they feel like can at least compete for that LB3 role or just flat out take it, then they're probably good. If they don't, then they'll sign someone after the draft. There's still veterans out there they could add to the room, but they definitely got to add somebody who can give you some snaps at linebacker, because even if they play mostly nickel, there's going to be base downs. And do you trust Noah Sewell to take a step forward and be that reliable LB3? We have not seen anything that suggests that up to this point. Eamon Ogbongbemiga, great special teams player. He's fine as an LB4 or 5. I think becoming your third guy is a stretch. So, they're going to have to add somebody there. Skeptor, would you feel comfortable playing Kiran Amegadjie at left tackle if Braxton goes down? It's hard to say. I like the tools still. He's got the measurables to do it. It's hard to answer that without watching the offseason program, and especially I think preseason games are going to be critical for him. In an era where the preseason's mostly irrelevant, I think a player like that, he needs live NFL reps, even if they're kind of fake reps. Like, practice these days, it's hard to get high-level offensive line reps. It just is, especially before pads go on. So the answer right now is, like, if they had to play tomorrow, I'd say no. But that could change after training camp in the preseason. Give me a follow on social media, Twitter, X, at HGramNFL, Instagram, same handle, at HGramNFL. Posting on those 2 platforms constantly. DMs are open. I finally caught up on my Instagram DMs, so appreciate the patience over there. I will continue to answer your guys' questions